So in tonight's males final, we have 2016 British bouldering champion Matt Cousins, Nathan Phillips, who has won the Big Flash 2015 and 2014, so we're looking for a hat-trick of wins here at Highball Norwich. Tommy Matthews, probably the youngest competitor on the male side, member of the GB squad, up and coming, pleased as punch to make the final, knocking out Louis Parkinson in the process. Dave Barrans needs no introduction to anyone who follows climbing, but for those of you who don't, multi-time British bouldering champion, competitor on the world circuit and the European circuit. Close behind, Orrin Coley and Matt Pablo Varela-Christie. On the ladies' side, we have veteran Diane Jeffery, renowned throughout bouldering circuits UK-wide. Has competed worldwide, European-wide, and maintains the top of the level. Alexia Basch, also on the GB team, young, full of fire. Hannah Slaney, qualified highest, looking to win for the first appearance here at the Big Flash. Yasmin Roberts, Pippa Watkin, Lizzy Nicholls round out the ladies' side. So the first competitors are coming out now. So on the mats right now, we have Tommy Matthews for the men and Pippa Watkins for the ladies. They have 4 minutes plus to attempt the problems. So both competitors off and running. Tommy Matthews, GB climber. Pippa Watkins, one of the youngest in the field. Oops, stop there. M1 looks like a strong start getting through that bit out to the big volume.
It does. I had a little fondle of the holds earlier, and yeah, it looks quite awkward. This volume here is really slopey, which he's jumped to there. So I think his transfer around the lip is going to be a really tenuous, tricky little section.
Oh.
Yeah, obviously needing a toe hooks to keep him on, and yeah, just failing to release them there.
Yeah, expert analysis there, Ben. Almost on cue, commentator's curse. You dropped him off. Volunteer brushes all weekend, keeping the holds clean, so they're optimum grip levels for all the climbers. So for those of you new to climbing competitions, the start holes are all marked on the wall. You'll see little sections of green tape. Each section of green tape denotes one limb must be attached to the hold or volume it's on. Further up the wall, you'll see orange tape marking the bonus holes. Towards the top of the wall, you'll see more green tape marking the finish holes. Dynamic start from Pippa there. If a climber doesn't make it all the way up, bonus holes come into operation for the scoring. The climbers coming out to compete come out in reverse order from the results of the semis. So from this, we can work out that Pippa Watkin and Tommy Matthews both qualified 6.
I spoke with Pippa's mum earlier, and she mentioned Pippa was really pleased, really excited to have made the final. I think this is her first senior bouldering final she's made it into. She's been on the junior scene for quite a while now. I actually, in a slightly related story, her mum was the deputy head teacher at my daughter's school, so I knew Pippa when she was quite young, took her climbing outside, one of her first times outside at Birch and Edge in the Peak District. So it's been really interesting to see how much she's progressed over the last few years. I think she's pretty well established now on the British junior team, but yeah, I guess a step up for her into the seniors.
Well, this has got to be a beneficial experience for her, climbing with some of the country's best. Well, as you said, the field today is very young in the female side. Only Diane Merrick being over the age of 20, I believe.
Yeah, it's great to see young talent coming through. At the same time, slightly disappointed there wasn't one of the real big names on the women ones here. You know, Diane's been around for a long time and is, you know, a really top climber, but it'd have been great if Shauna or someone had been along. But it does give a chance for some of these younger people to get a chance on the, you know, to compete with the adults on a big competition like this. I think you gain a lot of experience just, you know, being out on the lights, being out in front of people. So yeah, I think it'd be a good experience for a lot of them.
Obviously, Tommy slightly more experienced, getting on well. Wedging the toe in.
Yeah, so that tenuous move round to get around the lip.
Oh, drops. The top of that lip isn't much better than the bottom, is it, on that volume?
It is yeah, not much better, slightly. I think he was doing it the right way there. I think he probably does need to stretch up and get to the slightly better bit before he releases, the toe hooks. But just maybe trying to get a bit more control next time. It looked like he got caught a little bit, before he was ready again.
So obviously we're having slight difficulties with the timer on the screen here, but they are now out of time. But Tommy may continue and he tops this problem, or he may continue until he falls off or tops it. My bad, sorry. I glanced down as Tommy will be giving his beans on this. He knows he's out of time.
So he really needs to get those toes in good this time.
Oh no, never. So coming out next, we shall have Matt Varela-Christie for the men and Diane Jeffery for the ladies. So Diane Jeffery has competed at every festival Highball has held, all 3 years of the Big Flash, including this year. And before there was a Big Flash, there was the impromptu Highball End of Summer Festival, in which Diane made a lot of friends in the crowd here by executing a double knee bar bat hang re-chalk halfway up a route. No one had seen anything like it, and
I think we'll be unlikely to see that again on problem 1 for the ladies. But I think Diane should have a good chance on this one. She's a very technical, steady climber. Dislikes the dynamic moves, but this slab is looking pretty technical.
Talking to Diane earlier, she was keen to stress that she's never actually had a job in anything to do with the climbing industry. For her, it's always been a hobby, which is hard to believe that someone who's competed as high a higher level as she has, Europe, Worlds, and across the UK for so long, has always kept it separate from her work life. Yeah,
that's an impressive thing. It's particularly nowadays where the bouldering is getting so physical. There's so much training which the top climbers do. So I think Diane, really relies on that experience and technique that she's had from climbing for so long. You can see now on this problem here, she's trying to work out the moves, spends a long time, finding the solution which is best for her, which isn't always the way that other climbers will do it. She has her own style, and I guess is used to how she can climb and what she can do.
Matt Varela-Christie is the tallest of the male competitors we have in the competition today, which will help in some climbs and be a hindrance on others. In the semi-finals here, there was one where he compressed up into the roof on a part of the wall we'll show you later, and afterwards he remarked that it still hurt somewhere between his thigh and his lower back.
Yeah, I think it's being a climber who's very short myself. I think it can be very obvious when a climb is harder for short people. If it's a big reach, and in the opposite sense, if you're a very tall climber, it's often harder to spot the moves which are tricky for them. But there's definitely a case where where it can be harder being tall. And if you look at the other male finalists, there's some pretty short guys in the final. Dave Barrans being a prime example. So it's definitely not a hindrance always being short.
No, like I say, there's none of the ladies there are exceptionally tall. Hannah Slaney, possibly the tallest.
Yeah. You do, if you look on the international circuit or climbing as a whole, you do get some, outliers, some very tall people, some very short people. And I think, like I was talking about Diana, using her own style, if you're a particularly tall climber or particularly short, you do have to find your own way of doing these problems, play to your strengths. I think the short climbers tend to be more powerful, and obviously you'll have to learn to maybe be dynamic, learn to do the dynos a little bit more. But in these modern comps where there's a lot of compression, a lot of squeezing between the volumes, I think the shorter, powerful climbers can do really well.
Definitely. Diane already getting inventive there, looking to put a heel on the initial volume a minute ago, trying to get herself up under the problem.
Yeah, it'd be great to see someone get through his first couple of moves. The rest of the problem looks really good. I spoke to Jason, one of the route setters, and he mentioned there was a pretty awkward little move, kind of mounting this triangular volume where her hands are. And it looks after that, it looks really creative and fun moving right along the longer volume. It'd be great if Diane could.
Further up the wall, viewers may be able to see a line of black tape that comes diagonally down and then drops straight down. that demarks the edge of this route, so the competitors cannot put any part of their body over that line, otherwise they get disqualified. So if anyone does get up, they've got to be wary of that towards the end, in case they try anything dynamic towards that top volume.
Yeah, and I think that's largely there to denote the boundary between men's problem number 2. Hopefully it won't interfere with the climbing at all. I think it's just a case that female problem 1 and men's 2 get quite close there.
So coming out next, we have Alexia Basch for the ladies and Orrin Coley for the boys. Alexia won the Big Flash 2015 and was 2nd in 2014. So she's perhaps got the field advantage here, and looking to repeat her success of last year. Its field is strong. And
Orrin's just come off the back of a pretty successful British Bouldering Championships. I think coming into the last problem in the final there, he was in 1st place. I think he slipped down to 3rd place overall, but was still very happy with that result. Again, I spoke with him earlier today, and he was very pleased with that top 3 result, that podium finish. And was looking to improve on that in the future, feeling pretty excited about it all. And straight away here on M1, he's looking to make, he's using those toe hooks really well, looking like he might be able to get established around this lip if he can just control the cut loose. He swung his left leg out there, I think that would be to try and slow down the swing a little bit.
Orrin was one of 3 people during the qualifying on Saturday who, he's there. One of 3 people to complete all 30 problems first time. Yeah. So,
and he's looking pretty bunched up here. Talking about taller climbers. He's not super tall, Orrin, but he's definitely taller than the likes of Dave. And he looked pretty bunched up there on that volume. It does look the case that you have to get stood up on your foot.
Alexia clinging on there, working her way out of the start holds.
Yep, there you go.
Nicely established.
That's the mounting move. Jason's mount.
To move out now across this part of the wall is a bit of a bulge, so it's all slab-like, but it's quite steep slab low down and narrows out further up.
And there's what's quite hard to see here on the footage, but there's a little screw-on foothold on that volume for her right foot, so she's just having to be really precise, getting her right foot onto that hold. When it's a long stretch over sideways, it can be quite hard to trust a foothold when you've reached out to it like that. So she's probably just got to try and get her weight onto it, really trust that right foot. Obviously no handholds to help her across here. It is all trusting your feet.
Core balance on. She's comfy. She's looking ahead now, looking to the bonus hold.
Yeah, looking reasonably comfy now, but hard to move.
Nice.
Brilliant.
Springs up into the move.
Yeah, and making use of some of her height there. Stretched up to that volume. Making sure she keeps an eye on that out of bounds taper it to her right.
Orrin Coley described his preparation for this event as 3 days in bed supping lemsip.
Okay.
Considering he got... well done, Alexia! First top in the competition. Gets herself some extra time off by finishing inside the time. More time to rest ahead of the next event.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, is that resting. When I competed many years ago, the bouldering comps were a slightly different affair. You had a lot more rest, in between each boulder problem. It used to be a lot less stamina involved and very hard problems. Whereas in this current format where you get the time, the 5 minutes to climb, I think stamina's become a bigger issue. And if you can get a quicker sense of a problem and get some longer rest, that's a big bonus.
A lot of today's competitors also compete in lead competitions. Do you think that helps them with the stamina?
It does, and again, I think that's something which has changed in the last few years. Again, when I competed a long time ago, but there were only a few competitors who did both, who did the lead and the boulder. The boulder was so much more powerful, and the lead climbs were much more endurance events. Whereas now, I think we've got crossover with the endurance element in the bouldering, and lead comps having got so much more powerful, so much more bouldering, and it is a big crossover now. And I think a lot of the training, transfers and works for both events nowadays.
Well, with climbing being added to the Olympics currently in a triathlon format, we're going to see a lot more climbers training lead, boulder and speed.
Potentially, yes. Yeah, I think so, and it's you see the case already with the people like there's a few of the great examples like Adam Undra, who can obviously perform at both the lead and the bouldering to such a high level, and many guys, Dave Barrans, who we'll be seeing later on today, who's been British champion in lead and bouldering, so there's definitely people who can do it all. Not so sure about the speed climbing, obviously less of a popular event in the UK, so you know, we are starting to get the odd walls who have those, you know, set speed climbs. It'll be interesting to see how many people focus on that a bit more with the inclusion in the Olympics coming up.
That was Orrin's final attempt. He's looking strong up until the end there. Hopefully he hasn't injured himself as he comes off.
Yeah, he got to that bunched up position again on the volume, so yeah, struggling on that move.
Coming out next, we will have Yasmin Roberts for the ladies and Dave Barrans, Big Dave, the pocket rocket for the men. Dave Barrans competed in both the 2015 and the 2014 Big Flash here at Highball, both times coming second to Nathan Phillips. Obviously, for those who know climbing and follow competition climbing in the UK, Dave Barrans needs little introduction, being multi-time British bouldering champion, my apologies, and has competed around the world, around Europe, and around the UK for a long time, and he has maintained his position at the top of the game.
Yeah, he's been very consistent for a long time now. You know, I think he's starting to be pushed now by this new kind of set of young climbers coming through. You know, Dave's been on the scene, like you were saying, for a long time, and I think the competition up against him has started to change. You know, from people like Ned and the people, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and this new set coming through. Matt particularly have been, you know, pushing him really hard, and you know, and beat him this year in the British Bouldering Champ. But it's, you know, it's impressive that he's still, you know, got the dedication and training so hard. And I think you can see. If you can see his arms on his prom here, he's still incredibly strong, an incredibly strong climber.
Oh, he's up, he's made the ole.
Yeah,
there we go.
He's saying this may well be a flash.
All the way to the top. So although the new ones are pushing him hard, Dave Barrans laying down a challenge right early in the competition there.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. You know, just destroyed that problem. Very solid on the roof bit, and then using maybe the advantage of being slightly shorter than Matt and Orrin on that little bunch move on the lip.
I think when you
maybe
talk
a bit better as well.
I think when you talk about short, powerful climbers, Dave Barrans is the archetype that comes to mind for many people.
Yeah, exactly. He's you know, has all of those things in abundance, and you know, pretty short and very, very powerful. And you'll potentially see later on in the comp, you know, it's very hard for the route setters to always set problems which, you know, don't seem a bit harder for him on at other times. You know, this one may have suited him very well, but there's likely to be moves where he looks pretty stretched out. You know, and the route setters will do the best they can. You know, Jan's a fairly short setter, but that's just the nature of climbing. You know, if you're a shorter climber, there's going to be times when you have to do the big, long, stretchy moves, or find a different way of doing it.
Jan is a very devious setter, I think, is the.
He is, yeah. He's a very. I don't know if obsessive is the right word, but he gets very, you know, passionate about his route setting.
Yasmin Roberts struggling to get established on the evidently quite tricky start of F1.
It's definitely proving that way.
Yasmin was 6th here at the 2015 Big Flash and looking to improve on that this year. In the semi-final she was impressive, qualifying 3rd, beating Alexia, Basch, Diane, Jeffery and Pippa Watkin.
Yeah, so all, you know, lots of chance for her to improve on that 6th place from last year. This problem's had a one top so far, and I think if she can make it through this first move, which is proving really slippy, really tricky, then I think she has a good chance on the top.
Yasmin resting between attempts here, making sure her hands cool down a bit so she doesn't rush in and let the blood.
And even on a slabby problem like this, you know, your fingers will be getting tired, you'll be sweating, so you know, it's good not to go at it too keen, too fast. Even more so on the steeper problems, you need that rest. You sometimes think, I've only done 1 or 2 moves, but you know, it does take it out of you, and having a little chill, looking at a problem, you know, not getting set, maybe on trying it always the same way, making sure you're not missing anything. It's good to reflect a little bit.
And it's quite important to note that it's unlikely that dropping the first hold will definitely put you out of contention.
Well, completely with no idea what's going to come on the problems later on. You know, there's only been a one top so far. So
what you're seeing now is the starting hold. It's fairly standard triangular volume with another volume bolted on the side. The angle of the wall and the angle of the hold mean that when you're stepping up onto it, it's perhaps not as firm as you'd like.
No, it's a very tenuous step up, and you know, the route setters I know they enjoy placing these volumes in such a way that they feel very tenuous. Often, as you're a climber, when you're stood on them, you can be worried you're going to slip off and lose all the skin on your shin. Route setters seem to enjoy that even more.
A bunch of black magicians, route setters, and what they get up to. So, coming on next, we shall have Lizzy Nicholls for the ladies and 2016 British Bouldering champion Matt Cousins for the men.
Yeah, Matt was very impressive in the semi-final. I think he flashed or was, you know, in did a really impressive on the first 3 blocks in the semis, and just took a few more goes on the final slab.
Matt Cousins was indeed only one of 3 males to top all the problems in the semi-finals.
Yeah, and yeah, impressive, very impressive on the first 3 problems, and very impressive just to do the 4th problem. I had a little play on that one last night, and it was a pretty nasty problem.
Lizzy Nicholls is only 15, to remind you, gents, but she qualified for the semi-final in 2nd place. So only Hannah Slaney was more impressive in the semi-finals, and Lizzy Nicholls' scorecard was she either flashed it in the case of 3 of the blocks, or didn't make anything in the case of the 4th block.
So Matt's now just got cut loose. Oh, very very controlled on the cut loose there. Getting bunched up on the volume. He's using his knee. An excellent technique from
good old
the
alpine
60s
knee.
Climbing. He's obviously got the wrong sort of trousers on. Maybe a pair of jeans a la Seb Grieve would have worked a little bit better there. But it does look like a very bunched move. To be honest with you, that knee actually looked like it was potentially going to work quite well.
With those sort of round the corner moves like that, the keeping the core tension in the foot so you don't swing yourself off is quite important. Hence why just in the toe hooks earlier on to try and maintain the body tension to be established around the corner.
Exactly, and being, you know, having those toes jammed in well enough, you can control when you release. Matt did it really well again. It looked like he was in complete control, released the toes when he wanted to. You know, had the volume, you know, as good as he could, and he barely seemed to swing out at all. He looked very good until he fell off that next move. But yeah, whether the knee will work or whether he's going to try and get his foot on next time, Dave got really bunched up, got his foot on, and it obviously worked for Dave. So, you know, obviously Matt doesn't know what Dave did, but you know, we'll see which one he goes for.
Yeah, just a reminder, folks, those at home, once the climbers finish their route, they are put back in isolation. So although they can hear the crowd cheering, oohing and ahhing, they can hear the live commentary, not us. They have no idea really who's doing what, who's got on. Obviously, as climbers come back into isolation, it's probably fairly easy to tell whether they've completed a route or got spat off it.
Yeah, I guess so. Some climbers have not been involved in these modern competitions with the likes of the iPods and the iPhones and those things. But a lot of climbers will just, you know, listen to the music and try and not pay too much attention to what other people are doing. You know, it's all about your performance and climbing the best you can. So I know some people like to almost keep blocked off a little bit and just focus on themselves, and others may try and pay a bit more attention and see how the opposition are doing.
So I think by now we can safely say that the move around the corner is the hard part on M1, whilst getting set up on the start is the hardest bit of F1.
It does seem that way. Matt's fallen off. He had that very good, I think it was his first go when he fell off with the knee, and he's just had 2 quick goes, both, you know, one go falling off the start and one just after. So, you know, maybe he just needs to take a couple of seconds rest. I think he's only had a couple. He's back on again.
Obviously, as the climbers actually get up the hold, they'll get a better feel of what works, what doesn't. Things they've thought about what during the observation period off from the ground up may suddenly become invalid. But most of these are experienced climbers, and they'll try what they thought of from the base up. Yeah,
and that's that's one of the techniques is, you know, sometimes, you know, route reading and getting it right is important, but, you know, whether you stay too focused on the sequence you've seen from the ground, trying to learn from what you're doing. And then, you know, another technique, if you're going from a problem you've been up, sometimes you can pay too much attention to your go before, and you try and remember how you climbed it rather than, you know, just doing what comes naturally, and sometimes the natural way is the best way. And, you know, it seemed like those next few goes for Matt had been struggling to do as well, and looking better this go again.
Is he racing to get on the wall there? Because all the time is up.
Yep,
she's
they're
now
both on, so they both get this last attempt. Oh, Matt's going to fight. He's going to stay there as much as he can. He's trying. You think he tried to heel hook and campus a little bit. I think he should try and put that knee in again. There we go.
Oh, nice. He will have heard the applause. Oh, emotions running high already. He will have heard the applause for Dave earlier on, and know that he did quite well on that problem. There's one more coming out for the final on M1 and F1. We have Hannah Slaney for the ladies and Nathan Phillips for the men. Both of these competitors were top of their class in the semi-finals, with Hannah Slaney qualifying into the semi-finals on Saturday, impressively ahead of the rest of the field.
Yeah, Hannah looked. She looked almost in a class of her own in the semi-finals. I think if she's able to carry on that form into these finals, I think she's in a really good chance of winning. That said, you know, the finals, it's a new set of problems, new set of blocks for them all, and, you know, sometimes people can be a bit, you know, play it clever in the semis and not go completely flat out, save a little bit for the finals. You know, you only need to do well enough to qualify.
In fact, I was speaking to, I believe it was Matt Varela-Christie about this. There was, during the qualifiers, there's a particularly sharp, crimpy route on the slab, and he felt that his points were high enough already that he didn't need to attempt damaging his fingers ahead of the semis.
Yeah, and he obviously, he gauged it right. He got into the final, and must have saved that bit of skin.
Obviously, Nathan Phillips, 2015 and 2014 big flash champion, looking to repeat that.
Yeah, and he's looking strong here. Again, I've seen Nathan climb for a few years, and when I first met him, he was quite a young lad, and in the last few years he's really developed, both mentally in terms of how well he on sights and climbs slabs, but you can see how strong he's looking here. He's a really powerful climber now. Looking
quite in control as he moved up to the top of that volume.
Yeah, I think his cut loose is still going to be, still tricky. However strong you are, you've still got to try and hold that swing. He's trying to look at a way to kind of brace himself with his other hand there. But he's moved that left leg out again to maybe slow the swing a little bit.
Oh, he's held it. He's held it.
Yeah, hopefully his hands are still on it good.
What's he going for? High reach, high foot, or is
he's
he
not using his foot or his
on?
knee? He's just trying to campus at the moment. Just hanging around.
And I say he's struggling to get established through the start of F1.
Well, yeah, everyone struggled on that start, so I think she just needs to persevere a little bit, and hopefully it'll click for her.
Nathan having a good, serious hang session there.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's come out.
Well, sometimes you can be in a problem like that hanging around, and you need to make up your mind to either go for the move, do something, or drop off. If you spend 2 minutes hanging on the hold, you're only going to get more and more tired. So sometimes hang around for a bit, but if you feel yourself tiring, maybe drop off, and you may have lost the flash, but more chance to do the problem on your next goes.
I mean, a good old rest after that extended hang session. But being up there hanging will have given him an idea of how close it is, that the hold is for him to get his foot on, or what potential way he might have of getting through that.
Oh, completely. And it's always it's one of the tricky things in climbing is deciding when to drop off or what move to try or things like that. So that time spent hanging there, I'm sure his mind will have been working on ideas on what to do, and now that he's on the ground, swinging his arms, looking at it again, his mind will be going over what he could potentially do next time. Obviously, he's got a bit of information to base it on from hanging there for 20 seconds.
This ladies' route that Hannah's on right now doesn't seem like there's too much option as to how to get up on that initial handhold, which is laying hands right now. After that, it looks a little bit more open.
Yeah, well, I think it's really just a case of how good you feel stood on those volumes. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? You can get two climbers with very similar rubber on their shoes and stood on the exact same volume, and one person can be completely comfortable and happy there, while the other one's really struggling.
Anna looking good and relaxed there, all smiles. Matt shaking out those arms.
Yeah, well,
may have done a bit more damage than we thought.
Well, I'm sure for a man of his fitness it won't have done much, but when you're in the final of a competition, the problems are pretty hard, and you do want to be rested up, and he's trying to get back to as close to 100% fresh as he can do.
So we're inside 20 seconds left on this round. Both climbers will inevitably get on before time runs out.
Yeah, well, I think in Nathan's case he was giving all his rest and just putting it in everything, all his eggs in one basket, as it were, for this last go. That's why he was resting so long. He really wants to get his second go. And Hannah's, she's had a few goes now, so just hopefully she makes a bit more progress this time.
Here we go. Last attempts from males and females at the first problems.
Nathan on goes two fat pinches.
Oh, Hannah's up.
Flicks out.
I don't want to put the commentator's curse on her, but I would fancy that Hannah might get this from here.
Yeah, hopefully. I think this move up to the triangular volume is still a committing, tricky little move up. I think it's just about out of reach from keeping the left foot on, so you almost kind of need to jump up to it. So, with the pressure of this being a last go, hopefully she'll stay relaxed on it.
Using the height.
Nathan's off this time.
Hannah seeing if she can reach statically to the bonus hold.
Yeah, I think she might struggle to get on it like that. Maybe not, it's hard to tell, but I think really need to kind of step across to it.
Fingertips, you're right, inches too short, so she cocks back. Threw dynamically to it, couldn't quite hold it. So, M1 and F1 completed. Not many tops, it has to be said.
No, just one on each. I think that was the case, wasn't it?
What we're seeing here is route headers extending the black tape demarking where one route ends and another begins.
Yeah, I guess it's for men's problem number 2. They actually share one of the volumes, so the volume which Hannah was stood on, and at the end, the far right-hand end of that is going to be a handhold on men's problem number 2. But I guess the last thing the route setters want is the men trying to mantle and stand on that and go on to the women's problem. So the tape's there, they're just extending it a little bit. I think they'd probably potentially that tape would have gotten in the way of the women on the first problem, which is why they're doing it now.
So crucially, the little foothold embedded on the volume is out of bounds.
Yes, yeah. So you don't want the lads trying to grab that and pull on it and mantle up and get stood there. So it's definitely keep them to the right of that.
So again, coming out for the boys, Tommy Matthews, and out for the ladies, Pippa Watkin. Footage of Pippa Watkin will come intermittently between split screen and when the camera shifts, because the route starts off under the roof to the right. Both routes move from a start hold out over to the left, but are very different. One goes up, the men goes up over the slab. The ladies, as you can see, comes out from a very stretched start hold under the roof.
I think it's fair to say that your camera angle, we're getting a much better view from the camera than we are from the commentary here. Pippa's completely tucked away in the corner, and no sign of her from this side of the arena. Oh, it looked like a good little swing there.
So Pippa through the opening phases. This is more comfortable position here, while she looks to get out and round again. Yeah,
I think this is good for after that first problem, F1, where she struggled to get going. It'll be a good confidence boost to have got a few moves in. And she looked close on that move there to the bonus. Having jumped through it like that, she won't have actually, the bonus won't have counted for her. So I think she'd definitely be looking to get the bonus next time and and move on from there.
So again, a reminder for those at home: in order to qualify for either the top hold or the bonus hold, the climber has to be firmly established on the hold. In case of the top hold with both hands, same with the bonus bit?
No, I think you just need to have held the bonus with one hand. Maybe the sequence doesn't require getting the bonus with both hands, so you just need to have held it in control.
No, in fact, I believe last year in the semi-finals, local boy Sam Lawson managed to qualify by just reaching up and stretching to a bonus hold, something which Matt Varela-Christie didn't think of at the time, and was pipped to the post by Sam's quick thinking. Yeah,
well, he's a good competition tactics, which some people know a little bit more than others. I remember when competition climbing first started, they had a different scoring system way back in the 80s, which was based on how high up the wall you managed to get your hands, regardless of whether there was a hold touch or not. And there were scenes of people dynoing wildly upwards to with lots of chalk on their fingers and touching a high point. Again, there were people hanging on ropes nearby to measure the height of these holds they're dynoed to. So I think this current system, particularly in bouldering with bonuses and tops counting, is a much kind of clearer way of doing it.
Oh, Pippa showing some flexibility there as a high heel.
Oh, so that was a different sequence, I think, to last time, but maybe slightly lower.
I think she's briefly experimented with a knee bar at one point then, but I think the volume is too far from the wall to get properly established with the knee.
Maybe Pippa's legs are too small. No, she's as much as she's one of the younger climbers here, she's not overly tiny.
I believe she is somewhere around the 5'3", 5'4" mark.
Oh, that's giant. she's only about an inch shorter than me.
As well as having experience with you, she was coached by Catherine Schermacher, apparently.
Yeah. She lives in Sheffield, so she's part of that indoor climbing scene around there. Climbs at the Foundry a lot. And coached by Catherine a little bit.
Her main wall is Awesome Walls in Sheffield, but like I say, I think if you live in Sheffield, you're spoilt for choice of walls and routes outside to climb and practice on. There's quite a lot of compression involved when you're between those volumes, the feet up on the foothold on the wall, top right of the screen. Yeah, this sort of climbing you see a lot of in the World Cups now, and a powerful style of climbing, you need to be able to do that squeezing, very, very arm and core intensive. So for someone like Pippa, who's still pretty young, this is going to potentially be quite hard for her to get that power to squeeze them together. Lots of support for the climbers coming in through the Highball Twitter, at Highball Norwich, using the hashtag TBF16. Great to see so many supporters who couldn't make it here, where there are, I'd guess, 200 people crammed in, if not more, packed into Highball.
Yeah, it's great. We've got a pretty good viewing here. All the seats taken, people standing on the mat. So yeah, you know, it's a good scene. Beers flowing. I think a few of the kegs might be just about emptying now. So yeah, people are getting pretty excited.
Everyone's been well fed by the hog roast earlier in the day, which came from JP Trek Recruitment and Interlink Express, our wonderful neighbours here at Highball. Tommy's persevering away at this awkward start, trying to get round the corners of that volume with the hold on.
Yeah, on the screen here it looks like that's pretty close, but in reality it's kind of tucked away just slightly around the corner, so it's almost, you know, I think you can see the edge of it, but it's almost a slightly blind move, and you've got to kind of go sideways, but also try and get in around that corner. So, you know, it's not the distance. I think it's finding a way to control it when you get it.
No luck there.
No, and with the mat so close as well, you can't really afford to swing much.
So again, Diane, Jeffery and Matt Varela-Christie coming out now. Matt may have more joy at the start of this, being slightly taller and longer reach. He might be able to get a finger onto that volume to help steady him as he moves his feet round.
Yeah, maybe at the same time he might feel more bunched and scrunched up in that corner. But yeah, you know, I think his arms are, you know, maybe going to be a bit longer, a bit closer to that hold when he reaches round.
So as I said, Matt was pipped out of the semi-finals last year by local boy Sam Lawson, and he was here in the first year. I believe he came 8th. So strong performances here. And this year and last year, he won the deep water solo down at Exeter Quay.
Yeah, I was down at Exeter when he won it. You know, really exciting final down there, and Matt did really well to winning that final. Well, he got a little bit further then. He managed to stretch out to that volume, but his legs and body was still over to the right. With those long legs, it's maybe a bit harder for him now that he's got the hold to not drag them on the mat.
It's good that you mentioned that, because some people automatically think being taller is being better in high climbing, without realising that the longer levers associated with like long limbs can make it awkward to get the weight into position. Yeah,
completely. Although as a pretty short climber myself, I think it's a lot harder for us shorties. We're dealing, you know, we're dealing with a lot of disadvantages.
Oh,
it's amazing I can climb at all.
Diane Jeffery firmly established on the bonus hold there, looking to push up to this massive blue volume.
Yeah, I think she's got to try and get all the way to the top of it. As much as it's a big hold, it's all the way to the top she's got to go, and probably not as juggy as it might look. It looks quite actually slopey on the top.
Back to the heel.
Yeah, campusing is not really Diane's strong point. She likes to keep her feet on, likes to be a more static climber. Trying to use that heel with the right there, but it's obviously quite a slopey heel. It didn't seem to...
You can see the determination. She was keen not to drop that because she knew that flashes are important.
Yeah, got the bonus though. So
I would expect a long rest from Diane after that again serious period of hang time and lots of crunching the legs up there.
Yeah, completely. To be fair to Diane, that's how she climbs a lot of the problems. So she's probably pretty used to that level of exertion. She is a slow climber. What's more, traditionally more associated with a route climber or a traditional outdoor climber. The style of much slower, much controlled climber, but seems to work pretty well for her in the bouldering competitions as well. And Matt was just looking like he was starting to get established round the erect then. Not quite sure what he was holding on to. Almost looked like he found a little crack in the wall.
Huh. Devious. So we asked a few questions of our climbers whilst they were in isolation earlier, including we want to know where everyone's local climbing centre was. Give us an idea of where they're from. Matt answered, wherever I work, because he is a part-time setter.
Yeah, I've met him when I was working down in London, and he was route setting a little bit. I can't remember the exact story, but there was something which involved him taking a shower at one of the climbing walls, and there was a lot of hair product involved in his shower, and some of the local guys down there have started giving him the nickname of L'Oreal to do with all the hair products he has.
He would be in danger of having too many nicknames at this rate. Already been nicknamed Pablo Ice through the start.
Okay, he's got established around that little awkward arete, so it'll be good to see how he progresses up to the volume up to the left. It looks like you've got to do a big move up with your left hand to it.
Diane back to the bonus hold. knowing where she went wrong last time, I should imagine she'll be much more decisive on her move up to the volume this time.
Yeah, you'd like to think so, although, you know, she's a climber who likes to work things out and take her time, but it seems like she did a good amount of working out last time round. Matt seems to be doing that hanging around.
If she can hurry, she can get back on the wall, but if she's got the strength for it, I suspect that'll be it.
Potentially for both of them, yeah.
So bonus for Diane though, that'll count later on. So we have Orrin Coley standing on the mats there, coming back out for the men, and he'll be joined by Alexia Basch for the ladies. Alexia, of course, topping F1, looking to build on her lead.
Yeah, I'm sure she's pleased with that top. I don't know if she'll be aware or not that she was the only one to top it, but she's in a strong position now.
So again, on our questionnaires, we asked people who was their climbing inspiration or idol, and I'm not sure if all the answers were perhaps as serious or as informative as you like, but maybe they are, because Alexia has noted her inspiration as idol to being Hannah Slaney, who is of course here in the event. I suspect there may be a lot of camaraderie back there in isolation between these climbers, because they do compete a lot around the country together and against each other.
Yeah, well, I think that many of these people will be on the British team, or, you know, like you say, competing in the same events. You know, there's a lot of climbers now who do travel around and go to all these events, of which there's quite a lot. You know, Highball being one of the better ones of the year, but you know, there are a whole number of events, local ones, regional ones, national ones, which these people go to. I know the BMC youth comps now are a huge thing, with, you know, hundreds and hundreds of young kids entering those competitions.
It's worth noting that most climbers, in fact, do actually have other jobs as ways of paying for their participation in many of the events further afield than the European events. And so events like this provide them with a chance of putting cash in the bank towards those things.
Yeah, completely. I think it's you know, not wanting to always hark back to my day as a competition climber, but when I competed and was lucky enough to win quite a few competitions, the prizes tended to be, you know, equipment, which was all, you know, which was great. But for a lot of these guys nowadays who are sponsored, you know,
well, Alexia makes it up to the volume through the bonus holes.
Oh, looks like she should.
Away.
Oh, 2 tops now. That's
2 tops and 2 climbs. Alexia Basch establishing herself as a contender, I'd say.
Yeah, looking very strong now. Back to the point though, I think you're right. You know, for these guys who are sponsored, you know, equipment's great, but, you know, the monetary prizes are really appreciated.
Obviously, with climbing being the Olympics, hopefully there'll be more money coming into the sport to help these climbers get established in European competitions, on the World Cup circuits. I believe Louis Parkinson, who didn't make it through to the final, actually crowdfunded one of his trips to an event in America.
Yeah. Well, it's you know, it's a funny thing with climbing. I guess there's so many people now who do climb indoors, but there's also a lot of people who climb outdoors, and I think still in this day and age you do find people who don't quite understand the competition scene, and you know, see climbing as going out in the rain in the Lake District. But no, if there is good money available, it'd be great to be able to fund these people to the competitions.
Conditions here in Highball tonight are pretty good for climbing. Top temperature outside is dropping quite a lot, but the bodies inside are keeping it at quite a controllable level. I don't think there's too much problem with sweaty hands on the volumes, is there?
No, maybe not too much, but you know, that's why we keep the brushing and the chalk. And I think if we get on F3, females' next problem is up a slab on a few volumes and small holds, and they'll be, you know, wanting to keep their hands chalked and that for sure. You know, and on these steeper ones, as much of the volumes are a little bit more positive, you know, you do want the conditions to be not too hot.
Well, Orrin probably felt he should have made that move to that volume. And he's joining in with the brushes. Every grit.
Yeah, and sometimes that can almost be just a mental thing, you know. If you've brushed it yourself and you've made sure it's in that top condition, you know that when you pull on for that potentially last go, as this one will be for him, you know, you've done everything you can to make it as good as possible.
There's our crowd, everyone in attendance. We have a strong mixture here of people who are locals and those who have travelled down in groups to support their climbers from elsewhere, from London, from Sheffield, Lizzy Nicholls from Milton Keynes. It's good to have a good variety, and the age range is massive. Plenty of young climbers. Norfolk's not renowned for its climbing, but Highball has gone a long way to establishing a community of young climbers who are discovering climbing here rather than older people who have discovered climbing earlier on and come back to Norwich.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons the wall down here is such a good, such a good community and scene. Is the people who do get into climbing around here.
Good work there by Orrin. Established on the bonus.
I think he'll be a bit disappointed in that.
He'd have felt that getting established up in there would have been within him, but not over yet.
But you can really feel that once they get stood up on that triangular volume, they'll be at least able to take a quick breather and re-establish themselves on the top.
So out now we have Dave Barrans and Yasmin Roberts. Obviously Dave making it the top on M1, like Alexia, but looking to build on his lead here with M2.
Yeah, and I can't see anything here which should stop Dave completely. Like you said at the start, he's a very experienced climber. He's more three-dimensional problems with moving around corners or standing on volumes. He's had plenty of practice with that sort of climbing. Hopefully he'll make a stretch round to this one. Yeah, very controlled there.
Dave Barrans climbs locally at the depot in Leeds. Up safely through the bonus, powering up. The arete in his right hand is quite shallow for an arete, but it's enough up to the small bonus hole.
Yeah, he's looking really good here.
Holding.
So Dave, commentator's curse again, but I was about to say that where Orrin tried to rock onto that volume with his heel, Dave maybe being a bit more flexible or a bit shorter and managed to get his toe on and smear on it, and was looking actually pretty comfy then until he slipped off.
Yasmin working through the quite awkward compression corner start.
Yeah, looks very, very 3D climbing as well. You're not quite sure which way to face, which way to turn.
Seems she can press into the roof just a bit too far for her height. quick rest with a comfortable drop knee in there.
Yeah, and she's decided to carry a chalk bag, maybe aware that she might be on the start for a little bit of time, so she wanted to be able to chalk up on route.
Obviously Dave having a big old rest before he has a second attempt at this.
Well, I think he'll be very keen to do it on his second go. Like Matt on M1, although it didn't work for Matt, but I think Dave will be looking to have a decent rest and do it his next go.
Here he goes. Yasmin trying to pop into the roof there and use core tension to hold it out, just falling slightly short. As you see, the rail in Dave's right hand there actually has a slight volume, so it has a slight rail on the top, I believe.
Yeah, there is a slight lip to it.
It's not the best, but it gives you a little bit more confidence. There we go, straight into the bonus hold.
Yeah, again he's got his toe straight on.
Up the arete. Oh, well held. Again, that arete is not generous, folks.
No, so this is where he slipped last time ago.
Being a bit more cautious this time.
I guess it's out of reach to get the top of the volume, so he's got to either step or jump across to it.
There we go, held. Cut loose and up. Big pop to the finish. Big Dave Barrans. 2 routes, 2 tops. Yeah. He knows now that he's established and in the race for gold.
Yeah, pretty sure he'll be feeling good about that.
Yasmin starting to wonder whether this start is using up more effort than it's worth.
45 seconds, so she's plenty of time still.
So she could rest for the remaining of the time and jump on just after it hits 0, or just before it hits 0.
Yeah, completely. Give her options to give yourself a little bit of leeway and the chance to slip off the first move. So she's got on with just under 30 seconds to go. Pretty sure once she's established now, she won't have time for another go. So I think she needs to do as well as she can this time.
Controls the swing nicely using the undercut on the volume there, pulling against the wall himself, heading out to this little volume cluster. Holds nicely.
She looks a pretty strong climber as well. So.
She's seen the clock. She's rushing to get back
so,
on.
Well done.
She knows she can rest here.
Yeah, and having set off on that first go with 30 or so seconds, it did give her time to make that little mistake and get on again.
And there you go. So she didn't even bother chalking up before getting back on, knowing she could chalk here in the corner.
Yeah, so this go out for last go, she's facing out on the start, which seemed to be a problem on that previous go where she'd got stuck facing in and was on for so long. She's obviously worked out, to start facing out as the way.
Obviously Yasmin 6th here last year, looking to improve it. So even so, 6th out of there's 147 entrants. The ratio was probably about 2/3 to 1/3 male-female. So she's already proven that she's a class act just by making it to the final.
Yeah, I think she'll definitely be looking to try and get this bonus though. So yeah, matching this time and going with the left.
There we go, to the bonus. As you say, the amount of problem the ladies had on F1, bonus holds on this one will make a difference, or every point from now on will make a difference.
Oh, completely. With only a one top of F1 and one top so far on F2, bonuses could well make a big difference.
That's going to make the bonus. She may look disappointed, but I think she'll be pleased that she made it to the bonus at least there.
Well, for sure. I think on the go just before Orrin slipped off with only 2 or 3 seconds left to have got back on and got the bonus is a good result.
As well as the chaps from Schoolhouse Digital making the short film, you can see Chris Ridley there walking across his shop from Chris Ridley Photography. He provides all the stills and images. Some of his posters are on display here in Highwall and on his website. Out on the wall though we have Matt Cousins for the men and Lizzy Nicholls for the ladies.
I must admit I like Matt's t-shirt and vest combo here.
I suspect that wasn't a vest when it got to him.
Ah, right, yes, yeah. Not sure whether the t-shirt's red or pink, but it's a nice combination. You often find the climbers may wear a long-sleeved or t-shirt underneath to give them that little bit more warmth. When you're resting between problems, the last thing you want is to get your muscles cold. Although Matt may well be doing it for style.
So Lizzy Nicholls climbs regularly at Milton Keynes, so she's probably the localist of the competitors, unless we count Diane's spectacular performance in the old end of the Summer Festival as being making her a local favourite. Lizzy's, I think, is the shortest competitor in the competition at only 4'11", which will help her with sort of the compression problems where she won't feel as bunched up, but then there will be lots of this, like we can see her really arching her back to stretch out to that volume. She might have to do this slightly more dynamically than other competitors. Yeah. As you say, Matt squeezed his toe on as Dave did.
Yeah, which it's a more secure way in a smear like that. He looks very comfortable there where Dave slipped off. Hopefully Matt won't do the same.
Re-chalking casually on a hold in his right hand that's not massive. It's quite a small disc-shaped, crimpy splat.
No, and he's just setting up for this kind of lurch jump onto the top of the volume. So he's not sure whether to fully jump for it or to stretch. Oh, the stretching seems to be working.
Made this. Can he control as he lets go of his feet? Yes, he can.
Well, and Dave made short work of the top, so I'd be confident Matt's going to do this now. Oh dear.
Matt showing what he thought about that.
Yeah, that was a definite slip. I think he'll be disappointed there.
I suspect, considering how well he did on that, we might see a long rest and then quite a controlled ascent the second time round.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll probably get on with a little bit of time to spare in case he messes up the start. But yeah, I think he'll be pretty confident to do that next go.
Lizzy has got herself up, and again, over this absurdly high foot, falling just short of the bonus.
Yeah, having watched the other girls on that move, I think she needs to get her feet locked in and match hands on the first hold on the lip before moving to the bonus. A few of them have tried to jump from the back like that, or either go again with their right hand, and it's not really worked.
There you go, Matt back out to the bonus.
Yeah, so I think he's left himself time here to mess it up if it does happen this time and have another go, but I'm sure he'll be keen not to.
There's that oh so generous hold he was resting on a minute ago, and this time he's breezing straight through.
Yeah, a good amount of weight on his feet, so you can use those bad hand holds. Looks like he's almost trying it a different way this time.
Oh, yeah, he's moved his body weight further over to the right rather than using the foot on the left volume. Comfortably in. He'll be determined now. There we go. Matt Cousins, tops M2.
So that was a second go for him, as it was for Dave. They both seem to have a little slip off.
The thing with this, although we have many named climbers and recognised champions, it only takes one slip in the wrong moment and makes a big difference in positioning.
Oh, completely. And I know, having been friends with some of the route setters, they often get asked about the grades of these problems, and people seem a bit surprised when sometimes problems might be given lower grades than they expected. But when you do a problem like that, which is pretty tenuous and relies on being confident and doing these moves across, it can be very hard to actually flash them, particularly in that competition situation when you've got the pressure on. So it may turn out this problem is won't be 8A or 8A plus. It will be considerably easier, but obviously quite droppable.
No joy for Lizzy Nicholls there, unfortunately, which means brings out our last competitors for M2 and F2, Nathan Phillips and Hannah Slaney. Obviously Hannah will be looking to get into the game, having failed to get up F1. The clock is already running, but both competitors know they have a comparatively a long amount of time to try this. Although it's 4 minutes doesn't sound like much, when you're out there, it can be quite a long time.
Yeah, and when they do the viewing at the start of the competition, but trying to remember 4 problems and all the moves involved, it's good to have a little refresh when you've come out. And, just make sure you haven't forgotten about anything, haven't forgotten about a crucial foothold. Sometimes you can get some clues by looking at what fresh chalk might be on a hold. Try and see if there's a way that someone's been holding it.
That is the trade-off, I suppose, isn't it? Coming out first, you get fresh holds. Coming out later on, you can see where people have been trying to hold things.
Yeah, although sometimes that can be a red herring as well. It's good to look at them at the start because you'll have the setter's chalk, and the setters will probably held them in the right way when they were setting it.
It's worth noting that although the setting here was done earlier in the week by Susan Dudnick, Jan Janot, Jason Pickles and Sam Whittaker, both Sam and Susan had to leave us earlier on for personal reasons, which means that Jason Pickles, Jan Janot and indeed yourself, Ben, have been putting quite a lot of work tweaking things between what was set Thursday and what's on the wall now.
Yeah, and that's fairly standard procedure, I think, when you set for a competition, but then when the qualifiers have taken place and you see what sort of grades people have scored, who's around at the comp, you might tweak some of the problems. So we made, under Jason and Jan's supervision, we made a couple of the problems a little bit harder and a couple of them actually a bit easier, just to kind of balance out what was in the semi. But less so for these finals. I've had no input at all. I've not even pulled on to any of these final problems. They were pretty happy with what had been set by themselves and Sam and Susan beforehand.
My apologies to Susan if I'm butchering the pronunciation of her surname. I wasn't entirely sure what it was, considering all things. Hannah was looking very controlled as she moved up to the bonus hold there, but seemed to lose tension as she put the second hand on and flung herself off.
Yeah, I don't know whether her foot just slipped off something there. Both her and Nathan are struggling a little bit in this final. Both look so good in the semis, but neither of them top first problem.
I was around yesterday chatting to a few of the climbers, trying to get some inside lines, see what they think of each other. Everyone was playing their cards very close to their chest. No one wanted to commit. Everyone was saying they were feeling okay. No one was willing to go out and go, yeah, I'm feeling great. Is this sort of fear of embarrassing, of picking themselves up and then not performing?
Well, maybe. I think it's it's hard to always assess how you are. You can be feeling good and strong, and these problems are so technical and so tenuous nowadays that even the strongest climber in the world might not necessarily get up them. There's an element of technique, obviously, an element of luck in some of this climbing.
Oh. Nathan Phillips, crowd-pleasing one-handed hang there.
Well, definitely showing how strong he was. Like on the first run where he hung around for a while, he's doing the same here, but somehow on a slab. So he's got his heel on, like didn't work for Orrin, but.
And calling for the brushes there, and then running in quickly. He's got 30 seconds left to get on the wall.
Nathan's managed to adjust it onto his toe now.
There we go, up for that small chip. Now, we're curious to see how he tries to get to this hold. We've seen 3 different variations now. The sort of the pop, the left foot up on that volume where the bonus hold is.
Well, I don't know if he'll be aware of the time as well. With 7 seconds to go, I think this go, unless he falls up and jumps on very quickly, will be his last go.
He's glanced around for the clock there, and he's heard the beep. He knows he's out of time.
So I think he'll probably try and do it statically. With the pressure on this go, he'll probably try and initially try at least to get over there statically. Okay. So that's the end of that's a partial scorecard we've got there.
Oh. We'll try and bring you more up-to-date scores in full as things progress. It's likely, of course, to get scores. Oh, Nathan makes it through. As you said, knowing he was out of time, he knew he had no room for error on that. Yeah, we'll try and bring you scores as we get them, or as they get through to the feed. And of course, we'll be one round behind. Oh, Hannah!
Got the bonus, but
But again, the difficulty females are having on their routes, the bonuses may be very, very important.
Yes, well, that's why they have them.
Obvious questions are obvious, I suppose. My apologies. So we move from what is referred to as the new section of the comp pool back to the old comp pool. This has been here as long as it's been high ball. Generally features more overhang. There is a slab at the far end, which is where F3 and M3 is featured and M3 starts, but both F4 and M4 are firmly on overhanging routes. The clock is running, and as you can see, Pippa Watkin is wasting no time getting in. Tommy Matthews having a quick look at things, reminding himself what he saw an observation.
Yeah, so I guess female slab looks fairly technical. Pippa's making short work at the start there.
That big bulging volume. Having,
I guess looks like a meat of the problem really, trying to get established on this. She's got the bonus, nice. But I think she'll need to somehow get stood on this round volume.
I think that's one part toe round the corner, one part thigh on the volume.
Yes,
she's used to hold herself there. So.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an awkward little move to get stood on it. Obviously bunched up to get your feet on, and then somehow trusting them. I guess the other option would be to keep low. I think there's a little foothold out left, so maybe you can step out onto that.
If you look at the where the DMM comp edition wall is on the screens there, folks, if you look at the head of the dragon logo, you should be able to see a small chip of a foothold behind the dragon's head. That's the chip Ben's referring to. The bonus hold is more visible by the tape coming off it above the second or the first M in DMM.
Yeah, so that foothold's obviously there for a reason. Having not seen the setters or spoken to them about this problem, I don't know whether you try and stand on that round volume or try and move over left kind of with it at your waist level.
Tommy Matthews getting established further on. This male problem looks very directional, like making sure your body's in the right position and your weight's slanted right.
A little bit more basic in many ways than the last one, a little bit more strength and pulling dependent, although still quite technical in how it moves around. Yeah, I think maybe some of the people who struggled on the slab will be enjoying or looking forward to a more steep.
Meanwhile, Pippa is up and using that foothold. Now becomes the very precarious, slowly walking the body weight over that volume.
Yeah, I think she still needs to get her right foot up onto the round volume. I think to be able to reach that final hold, which has a very slopey top to it, she wants to be, quite in control. I think she'll need her right foot up. But that's good. She's improved both goes there, so she's still got a little bit of time left. She did well on the first one, a little bit better that go.
Again, plenty of lovely messages of support coming in on Twitter at HighballNorwich using the hashtag TBF16. Thank you all. Hope you're all enjoying it at home. Everyone here seems to be having a roaring time. And we move to the second phase of the competition. This is where some of the competitors who haven't done so well so far will be acutely aware they must top problems in order to remain in contention for any prizes.
Yeah, and I think just from a personal satisfaction point of view, I'm sure they'll be keen to, feel like they've had a good go on a few of the problems. So
Tommy exploding out of the lower hold towards the bonus hold there, didn't quite get the thumb on that little chip that's stuck on the side of the bonus volume.
No, right now. You have to obviously be precise to hit those, hitting your fingers on the top and catching your come catch. There's all these holds on the volume to the left, so I don't know whether he might want to be looking at getting a heel out left.
In the semi-finals, there was a route set where the cameraman, you can see just to Tommy's left is, that he did a similar thing on. He exploded out from a lower hold, skipping out some interholds to try and catch himself. So
yeah, there were two ways to do that one, either jumping directly or using some intermediates, and it seemed some people preferred one way and some the other.
Pippa, having moved her weight across that volume there, slipped off, actually tried to reorientate herself towards the finish. She knows now that this is within her to get, and takes a good hard look at the clock across there.
10 seconds, under 10 seconds now.
So both rush to get on the wall, get established.
Both get on, but it will be the last goes.
There we go, there's the buzzer, out of time, isn't it? Oh, Tommy.
Oh, I was looking tired this time round.
Pippa strongly up now. She's got this section settled. Moving away.
Yeah, and I think for Pippa here, she shouldn't be too tired. It's a relatively slabby vertical problem, so hopefully she's able to give it a really good go this time.
No joy for Tommy on M3.
No, he was looking tired that last go.
So Tommy was 4th last year here in the Big Flash, and although he said he came into the event hoping to get a podium, once he realised the strength of the field, he felt he'd be happy just to sort of give a good account of himself and not be left behind by the more established champions.
No, he's done well to get into the final. You know, he's didn't quite keep up with them completely, but you know, yeah, he's giving them, you know, running hot on their heels.
So, out for the men, we have big Matt Varela-Christie and Diane Jeffery.
Matt's lovely hair.
So Matt is of Matt VC is of Colombian and Scottish descent, and it's quite a mix, and is known to many of his friends as Pablo. I couldn't work out where this came from, so I asked him directly, and it's through the notorious drug lord from Colombia. So hopefully Matt will add more repute to his nickname than perhaps his namesake.
Yeah, he's got his hands the other way around. Hannah managed to correct him. He's managed to get his toe on the little undercut on the volume out left, so that's holding him in quite nicely. This is what I thought could be a way to do it. Getting your feet established on that volume should be able to pull you over left and maybe
left leg's doing a lot of work.
Help you get up to it.
And he's up, and he holds the bonus hold.
And Diane's at the bonus as well on F3.
Yeah, both these two going well here on their first attempts. Oh, Matt.
Oh, seem to just lack the dynamism there at the end.
It looks like the move through the second volume, the one in the big white area on your screens there, is quite draining, getting your hands oriented the right way, as you were saying.
Well, and spending a long time with your feet out left, so that's obviously your core's taking a lot of strain to hold your feet and hold your hands in. You know, and you can't rush moves like that if you're pulling on your feet. You've got to take the time.
There's Diane holding it. She's putting a lot of force down through a tiny chip in the left hand, which is now freed up.
But such a technical climber, this is the sort of move she's good at.
So this wall is a slight slab. There's a lot of core tension going on there, holding her upper body on the wall.
And she's got that right foot on, but you know, it's been wriggling to get it on. It seemed like she couldn't quite relax onto it.
It looked like she was setting herself up for quite an exploding finish there, that volume, but the top of that volume is sloped
yes.
down, so I'm not sure that...
Yeah, I think that was almost just all she could manage at the time. You know, I'd feel you'd want to get established on that right foot a little bit more securely, and then you can, you know, lean over. The side of it's quite positive, you know, if you jump into the side, but there's very little on the top of it.
Just a reminder, folks, this event is a charity event. All the proceeds raised this weekend from customers coming in for their regular climbing and viewers coming in and giving donations goes to Climbers Against Cancer and the East Anglian Air Ambulance. So on your screens, after 2 routes, you see Dave Barrans out in front, Matt Cousins following him in second, Nathan Phillips, Orrin, Coley, Tommy Matthews and Varela-Christie all chasing. Plenty of bonus holds have been got, but only 2 tops of Dave Barrans, putting him firmly in the lead. So on here, there is a slight error in that Yasmin and Lizzy are the wrong way around. This will be straightened out later on. But as you can see, Alexia Basch, a commanding lead, the only lady to have topped any of the problems. Diane, Jeffery, Hannah Slaney, and the others all chasing.
Oh, and just overbalanced there. Matt's got established on that heel again, so using the toes on the heel.
Oh. One wonders whether this route's quite important to get it first go, because it's very burly, that's bottom section, and the top section doesn't give you much relief.
Yeah, and like I was saying, it's hard to rush a problem where, you know, using those toe hooks and the heel hooks, you've got to just spend the time to put them in. You know, that whole time you're obviously hanging on, but also using your core to hold you in.
Both climbers looking like they're resting and properly prepping the route for one last try. 20 seconds remaining on the clock. It's unlikely, unless they slip off the start here, they'll get another attempt after this one. Diane off and running. And here comes Matt, leaving it right as late as possible, getting as much rest time as he can. And he's on.
Matt's
Oh, no joy for Diane,
no.
But did tag the bonus.
Matt seemed a bit smoother through the toe hooks that time.
Oh, unfortunately, that one came off. Climbing very decisive, like you say, though. He knows it's important now for podium position not to make silly mistakes. Out next, we have Orrin Coley for the men and Alexia Basch for the ladies. So both climbers off and running. Nathan my bad. Orrin moving very steadily through that bottom section, taking a slightly different approach to Matt VC's. Alexia again using that partial thigh calf lock over the big round volume as she gets her weight distributed over to the bonus hold. Here we go. That big round volume is one of those holds that it feels initially like you've got a lot on it, but as soon as you try and put weight on, you want to adjust and look for something better. So all the lady climbers are putting a lot of effort down onto that chip in their left hand to get their hips up until they can get either the foot on, or as you saw with Diane, getting her left arm up in the air to keep the body weight close to the slab on that wall. This sort of route where there's lots of palming down for the legs is one where you will feel your hands getting hot and getting sweaty, and you'll be very aware of it, but there's not much room on this for relief to re-chalk. So Orrin directing the brushes quite precisely there. He knows what he wants clean, and he knows exactly what he's got in mind to try and get through that route. Plenty of time left. Both climbers know it. Both climbers have been up into the meaty problems of this, meaty sections of these problems. For Alexia, it's getting the foot up onto that big round volume. For Orrin, it's getting through this to the bonus hold and towards the top. Emotions running high, as you can hear there. Crying from Orrin. Keep that on the top lip. When this light's red, if you want to stop talking or you want to have a drink or something, click it in again. I'll introduce you. So Ben Bransby has left us, and I've been joined by Tim Hill from Beta Climbing Designs, one of Highwall Big Flash's sponsors for the third year running. Good evening, Tim.
Evening. How's it been going up here in the commentary box?
Well, yeah, so we're witnessing a fine display of climbing. What supposed to be quite a challenging final.
Yeah, it's proving to be pretty tricky, I think, for particularly the girls. Guys seem to be sort of questing on, and I think the route set is pretty happy from just speaking to them a few minutes ago. I think everything's going according to plan, so people are getting kicked off at all the appropriate moments, so it's good to see.
Jan wasn't chuckling to himself again, was he?
Yeah. Jan's sense of humour when it comes to these things tends to grow through the evening as competitors get more tired. I think that's the Frenchman in him coming out.
So both competitors letting the clock run down here. Maximum amount of rest for one big last effort. Again, Alexia looking very smooth through the start of F3, whereas M3 not allowing much smoothness. Orrin having a good look at maybe popping straight through this section. You can see the concentration on his face.
Yeah, that's
it. Look at that determination. He's determined not to drop this. There's a lot of energy used up there, but he stayed on. Alexia taking a different approach up the female route, going straight over the top of the round volume.
Orrin's done well there. He's missed a little bit of route setter's trickery, so I couldn't quite see it through to the end.
Oh, Alex has taken a very different approach. Gone straight over the top and he stood up. This should stand her in good stead though, as long as she feels she can get purchase on the bonus hold as a foot. As you can see from the angle there, the finish volume, the top of it slopes down towards the floor. It's not a flat top. So holding it is either going to require a great deal of compression and core strength and control of the lower body swing, or a more gradual approach.
That's good to see this tops. I think it would spice up a bit of the female competition.
I imagine if Alexia wins this, if she tops this problem, she is well out in front. being the only person to top a route so far, I don't think anyone can catch her. So she'll know that. Well, she'll know she's top 2 already, and topping a 3rd would put her definitely up near the podium. And everyone in the crowd will be watching this intently, because they will know that she is the only one to have topped 2 routes already. I think she's decided that the bonus hold isn't good enough for a foot, so she's trying to lower herself back down onto the chip by the dragon's head and the logo there. Oh, inches! Oh,
It's bad luck there.
collective sigh from the crowd there. All appreciate the effort and the determination she put in on that. So coming out now, Dave Barrans for the men and Yasmin Roberts for the ladies. Again, Dave in strong contention for the podium here.
Yeah, it's good to see that Dave is probably one of the older guys out this evening, and as always showing great experience with everything. So making quick decisions, and I'm sure he'll do that again on this problem.
I think it's something comfortably reassuring of seeing Dave Barrans, mid-30s, laying down the law of these young upstarts, showing them it's not all about youth.
Yeah.
Yasmin Roberts powering up through the start of F3 there. It seems like this route is reasonably straightforward. I say that in relatively straightforward for a competition climb for the first half, and then gets heavy towards the top. Yasmin smart enough there to reach out to the bonus hold before attempting a quite daring ascent over that volume. Dave shaking with the effort he was putting into not dropping that.
Dave would be annoyed with himself there. He knew he was just to move off, and yeah, he's a little bit frustrated. Not surprisingly, but he's got plenty of time on the clock, so he'll rest up, and I'm sure he'll see away men's 3.
So again, the brushes on men's 3, really brushing that final hold that Dave swung for just now. Here we go. There we go. Yasmin out to the bonus again. She's taking the same approach. Oh no, she's switching approaches, I think. No, she's going for the same approach as Alexia took, going straight over the top of this, rather than going left foot out first, as the other female competitors tried.
Super hard in these volumes. They're definitely not as grippy as some of the other things on the wall, and you got to get on top of them and get purchase on them, otherwise you're coming off backwards pretty quick.
That is some fantastic balance from Yasmin there. The bulge kicks the bulk of the bulge turns what is a slab section of a wall into a bit of a vert until you get over the top of it. So her having her knee over the top of it like that was very controlled.
I know the route setters earlier were definitely having to sort of try and allow for the flexibility of some of the girls, because flexibility has just improved in climbers dramatically over the last few years, particularly in the women's field, and it's pretty hard for people like Jason Pickles, who are sort of well-weathered sort of traditional mountaineers, to figure out if the girls are going to flex into the positions that
There we go,
them.
David's powered up under control to that penultimate hold, eyeing up the top hold. It's going to be explosive. He's up and he holds. Dave Barrans, 3 routes, 3 tops.
Strong performance by Dave, but you sort of wouldn't expect anything else really.
That now means it's his competition to lose. Plenty of time left for Yasmin though. You fancy that although this route is quite a slow route through the top, unless she gets into the same position she was in last time, she may have time to dash on for one last go afterwards. She was a minute ago looking as well established in the penultimate holes as anyone we've had so far. This use, there we go. She still has 30 seconds left. She may or may not fancy it. Looks across the clock. I think she does fancy it. So early in the weekend we had a New Kids comp on the Friday, sponsored by Rab Clothing. The New Kids comp was intended to get people climbing. It's not just for kids, it's for climbers who climb up to a grade of 6A. It was well attended and a wonderful turnout from a community that again lives in an area where there's not much natural climbing outside compared to areas around the world. So it's good to have these national climbers, companies such as yourself coming down and encouraging climbing to develop in this area.
Yeah, it's great. I think that's a really unique comp, and it's definitely a good way to give people sort of insight into competition climbing that maybe aren't climbing as hard as these guys. But Yasmin's back onto a bonus hold again, and looking good. Let's see if she can just hold it together now the clock's run out.
Unlucky Yasmin. Good acquittal, but unfortunately nothing counts beyond the bonus.
I think that was a bit of commentator's curse right there.
But a few of them from Ben already. Matt Cousins out for the men, Lizzy Nicholls out for the ladies. Matt Cousins is probably the only... No, I say lie. Matt Cousins, though, is probably the favourite to catch Dave Barrans at this rate, being that he beat him in the National Champions earlier this year.
Yeah, Matt's had a super strong comp season, and he's looking really light and bouncy at the moment.
Matt making short work of what is the hard bottom section of this route. He'll have heard cheering, he'll have known someone got up, and the fact that Dave came back before his female compatriot, he'll be able to work out what happened.
Yeah, I think most of the guys are pretty aware that
Oh,
Dave's
look at
probably
that.
blasted through. Come on, Matt.
Just as he thought he got there, the foot slipped and kicked him off. So, Beta Climbing Design, you've just sponsored two names who may be familiar to some of our viewers. Sam and Joe Lawson, the Lawson boys over at Beta Climbing Productions.
Yeah, so it's nice to have those guys on board. They just joined the Beta team. They'll be sponsored by one of our brands that we distribute called Snap, and then they'll also join the sort of general Beta team as well. So yeah, strong boys, all from Norwich, and great to support them. They're now living with us over in Sheffield, and it'll be great to see what kind of season they have, and can sort of put away on the grit this year.
So again, as I mentioned earlier, we ask our climbers a few questions while they're in isolation, and I did suspect the answers weren't perhaps as serious or as committed as we were looking for. And we asked some of the climbers who their favourite setter was and why. Matt Cousins said his least favourite setter was Matt Varela-Christie, who was probably sitting about 5 feet away from him as he filled this form in. So it's good to know that the isolation area isn't overly tense and people worrying about, oh, will I beat this person, will I beat that person? They're all friends back there.
Yeah, I think there's a really good camaraderie between the competitors and the setters, and definitely some good banter has been going on this evening. Fundamentally, everyone's here to have a good time and enjoy the sport.
There we go. Matt Cousins established, eyeing at the top, jumps, holds it, good control.
Super strong by Matt.
There we go. Little fist pump, he knows he's still in the running. He's pleased with that. You can see on that round volume there, the black marks on top are from where there's so much effort going into holding or palming down on what isn't a flat surface, which is in fact sloped away, and the hands really heating up the female competitors. So that they're keen to get their foot up, they know that they have a limited amount of time to do it before that hand loses friction and gives way. Setters do what they can to keep it fresh, and the climbers chalk up to give them the maximum possible advantage. All eyes on Lizzy now, with Matt having finished.
Come on, Lizzy. She's looking pretty solid here.
So this is probably the closest you get to a rest point, as you see, re-chalking after getting over that volume. Although Alexia did stand up on the volume, it looked like they got her in harder work, because you mentioned she had to try and come down on this slab without much to hold on to the foothold that Lizzy's got her left foot on. I think from here, if, as Diane did, she can get her foot up on the volume, it puts you in a good position to then try and balance steadily across that final hold. It looks like this ladies' event could be decided, if no one else tops this, on bonuses. Although someone will need to top it in order to catch Alexia Basch. Cheers and support coming from Lizzy. It's a very popular climber around this part. She started coming down regularly, trekking across from the Milton Keynes area to enter in the league competitions here. it's great to see that Highwell is starting to draw people in from further afield.
Yeah, I mean the facility here is definitely of top quality, and it's great to see sort of new walls coming up all over the country that have this sort of high class comp wall facilities to be able to host competitions like this, and let's hope with the Olympics coming up in the next few years that we see more and more of this type of thing.
Nathan Phillips out for the men, Hannah Slaney out for the ladies. This comp wall was, for a period, the biggest permanent comp wall in the UK, the beast in the East, isn't it? I believe that has now been surpassed, but it is still a whopper of a wall.
Yeah, I know that Climbing Works and World Cup route setter Percy Bishton particularly likes this wall, and thought it was very impressive over the last few years, and it's seen some good competition here.
Nathan powering through this bottom section, looking for there's the toe hook again, and probably springing up to the bonus hold. Hannah looking quite comfortable getting out to this stage.
Yeah.
Now comes.
Sorry, yeah, I was just going to say that Hannah's climbed really well, sort of over the last couple of days.
Looking comfortable.
And
no worries.
It's a shame that she's sort of chasing first, really, because
using
she's
the height
shown once again.
Hannah tops F3, first lady to do so,
Yeah.
and only lady to do so. Ducking out of the way of Nathan Phillips, who was up through the bonus on the penultimate hold. If he's still got enough left in the tank, you'd fancy he'll catch this. Oh! Obviously annoyed with himself. I think this route drains a lot of the men lower down, so that by the time you get up through the crimpy holes on the volumes, there's not much left in the tank for another top hold which slopes away from the wall, so it's not flat on top. The hold requires a great deal of down pressure with the left hand, control from the right hand, and ideally not much body swing lower down.
Yeah, it's been a lot of climbing as well for these guys. You know, Nathan's super strong and super fit, and you can just see now we're getting towards the end of the finals, and I think normally give him some holes like that on a fresh day and he'd probably see it home, but he's got a bit of time, just under 2 minutes, so he'll rest out, but I think he'll hopefully have another good attempt, and we'll see if he can top it.
Like you say, 30 problems in the qualifiers on Saturday, including, I think there was an agreed upon 4 that were pretty cheeky, pretty hard work. Semi-finals this morning, and then this tonight.
Yeah, I think it's you know, unless you're a route setter or you get involved with some of these final comp problems, it's pretty difficult to sort of try and convey how different a style they are from qualifying and semi-finals. You're sort of into World Cup style boulder problems now, and there's a lot of body tension involved, not many holds, and it's a difficult style to practice as well at the climbing wall, unless you can get yourself to competitions and you can sort of get on problems set by people like Jason Pickles and Jan Genou, you know, who are top quality setters. It's hard to sort of try and understand what these guys are climbing, but they're doing an amazing effort. Now we're into pretty much the end of day 2.
Jan Genou is one of the more regular guest setters here at Highwell. Has been since the start of the place. He's been quite popular, quite divisive in some regards, and some people really like his quite technical styles. Some people think it's all a bit too strong.
Jan's a great setter, you know. We work with him a lot at Beta Climbing Designs, you know, with hold choice and helping support him through competitions, and you know, he's climbed all over the world himself, and he's not a stranger to hard sport grades. So when it comes to competition climbing, he can translate all that experience into some great problems like we're seeing here that Nathan's climbing on right now.
Nathan giving himself the maximum amount of rest time there after his initial big effort. I think he'll fancy his chances now, as long as he's controlled and doesn't make any silly mistakes. I suspect if he does fall off, we might see quite an outburst of emotion. If he tops it, conversely, I think we're going to see a whopper or a fist bump. Cranking up. Give that thumb on. Crowd firmly behind him.
Come on.
Sorry about that, folks. Slight technical difficulties, but we are back with you. You did miss Nathan Phillips topping that problem, unfortunately. So we are back on M4 and F4, final problems of the finals. I've been told you did see it, but you lost us. No big loss, you saw what mattered. Tommy Matthews, Pippa Watkins out for their final problem of the night.
Great to see Pippa. Pippa, I used to see a lot at the Sheffield Climbing Centre, sort of for years really, as a kid and a junior, and it's great to see her sort of now on the adult scene, doing well and making finals.
Huge explosion from Tommy there on the start. Very contrasting routes here. Lots and lots of volumes to work around bodily, lots of body position for the ladies. The men very open, very wide, making use of the arete that splits our comp pool in half here. On the screens, if you follow on the left of shot where Tommy's feet were, there's a big black volume. To the left of that, the wall goes up, and they're at halfway where you see the blue volume sticking out from around the corner. From there to the top, it is a shallow arete from this side, and there's a chip about a fifth of the way down, quarter of the way down from the top. So it's very explosive at the bottom here. There'll be a lot of control and balance going up that arete, a lot of fighting the weights.
Yeah, I think the route setters will be going for a big final problem here in the centre of the wall, and it looks like it covers some pretty steep territory, and I'm sure there'll be some pretty gymnastic, acrobatic moves going on.
So both of these climbers, members of the GB teams, looking towards Tokyo, no doubt, in a few years. Oh, so close from Tommy, showing just how dynamic this bottom problem can be approached.
Yeah, I know that Jan was saying to me that there was definitely some spectacular trickery involved in the first few moves of this problem. So it's just a case of who can figure it out first.
Oh, Tommy going for the double dyno.
Oh, that's a great effort by Tommy. You know, he's a youngster on the scene, and
look at that, popping the crowd.
It's brilliant.
Now that he's shown them what this route's all about, the crowd are definitely into this, because there's going to be a lot of bodies flying across that way. Hold. So what you're seeing is, as he grabs the arete, he's stopping himself on the first volumes, but the way the volumes are shaped in relation to the wall, his body is then starting to swing out towards the crowd, so he's trying to maintain momentum round to the volume around the corner and dissipate the momentum by letting it swing out. It may be possible to hold himself dead on those volumes, but it's going to require a lot of... Oh, he holds it!
It's a great effort, brilliant.
That's the bonus hold. Tommy pleased as punch. Although I'm sure he'd love to top it, I think getting that far and getting the crowd going has really excited the young lad. No disrespect to Pippa, but Tommy's stealing the show right now. He's got his body around the other side, so the arete from this side is much better. We're seeing it become a bit of a mission to get out to the small foot chip you can see on your screens right now, twist the body weight round, because the arete will become much worse as his hips and shoulders pass through it.
Come on, Tommy. It's not a bad hold, just a big effort.
That chip is not generous, and you can see his body weight is quivering. He's so close to... There you go, he's eyeing up the pop to the finish. Oh! People in the audience actually left their seats at that moment, and you can hear the applause. They know they've seen a real competitor and someone who enjoys his climbing.
Oh, that's great. Like he's a super young lad, and he's on a big stage with cameras and a big crowd in front of him. So it'll be really great to see what Tommy does over the next few years, I think.
Tommy Matthews is definitely a name for the future. I'm well expecting to see him at Tokyo. I believe he does a lot of lead climbing, so this will help him ahead of the triathlon type event at Tokyo.
Yeah, there's a load of youngsters coming onto the scene, and they're definitely starting to mix with the sort of like more mature guys like Dave Barrans, and you know, Dave's still got a few experiential tricks up his sleeve, but the youngsters are giving him a run for his money. It's great to see Diane back out on the comp circuit as well. She's been pretty busy over the last year with work and other things, and she was saying to me that she wasn't climbing very much, but it's nice to see her back in a final again. And another Sheffield faithful, another Foundry climber as well. So the Foundry's doing pretty well at producing finalists in the women's field for this competition.
Obviously, the Foundry runs its own yearly festival, the Foundry Boulder Open. Diane, Jeffery and Matt Varela-Christie attacking these problems. You didn't see it on camera at the start of this, but as Matt Varela-Christie approached this problem, he had a look at it, cocked an eyebrow and turned to the crowd as a, what's all this about?
Yeah, he's a good character, is Matt. He's always pretty lively at the wall, and he's always getting everyone to try harder problems and making up pretty fun problems at his own local wall. He's a pretty good setter as well. I think him and Jan have been working together a bit in London, and it's great to see him in the final. Great
support for Diane, and she makes it to the bonus hold. Squeezes through to the shifting the body weight for that undercut up to the volume. Volumey rail, this.
Come on, Di.
Last effort. Final. As Ben was saying, you can see using both feet there. Yes, go Diane. Top and a lot of relief for the crowd. Yeah, there we go. Strong crowd favourite, Diane. A wonderful ambassador for the sport.
That's brilliant.
Meanwhile, Matt is up and established over the bonus hold and up the arete. His height may come into help here, getting his foot to the foothold, but his greater weight may make shifting it round the arete more problematic than it was for Tommy.
Yeah, Matt's pretty confident normally, so let's see. I'm pretty sure he'll give this a good go to the final hold, but that final screw on is just not great.
Oh, he's got his body weight round the arete though, and he's holding the tiny chip. He should be able to reach this, I should imagine. Yes, there we go. Tops.
It's a little bit of experience there from Matt, just to chill out, have a minute, and finish it off. He knew it was a good hold to finish on, so that's great stuff.
This is great work by the route setters, setting a very dynamic, explosive, visual route for the end of the evening. So the crowd are really something to cheer about ahead of the climax. The ladies' problem looking more doable, more like you can get up into the meat of it than perhaps some of the others which shut you down a bit earlier.
Yeah, I think that's developed a lot in route setting over the last few years. You know, having a line for the climbers and having a line for spectators is definitely an important part of it now.
So Alexia Basch out for the ladies for the last time, and Orrin Coley alongside her for the men. Both of these competitors well travelled, having competed around the UK, in Europe, and looking strong here. Alexia Basch also apparently notes her favourite route setter as Matt Varela-Christie. So again, my suspicions about the veracity of these questionnaires.
Well done, Alexia.
There we go, Alexia getting established on the bonus hold. She's got that tag, now moving up through the volumes. So again, I was talking to the chaps outside after the semi-finals, and the banter was flying thick and fast, and they were trying to convince me that perhaps...
it's a great shot.
Good work by Alexia. Dominant performance by her here this afternoon.
Yeah, Alexia's definitely stepped it up for the final, and I think a lot of people were sort of expecting Hannah to run away with it to a degree, but it's great that she's just kept a little bit back, and I mean, she's just seeing top after top now.
Alexia Basch, 3 out of 4 tops. Can't be caught by anyone else at this stage. So I think it's safe to say, but we'll save it for later on in the final. Alexia Basch wins again at Big Flash at High Ball. The lads were trying to convince me earlier on that Orrin was perhaps carrying a bit too much padding around the midsection, which I think was a bit unfair, considering that later on I heard from a source that should remain anonymous that perhaps some of these other lads, Nathan Phillips and a few others, are quite partial to the Colonel, shall we say, and his delightful chicken.
You know what, I came across such rumours as well, so yeah.
And if that's the sort of body that a fat man has, well, colour me fat. I'll have a piece of that.
Yeah, I don't think the Colonel's chicken is worrying these lads too much.
Great to see Orrin using the wall there to build momentum, to actually put more body weight into the swing to try and ensure he clears the erect grab, mounted second volume. So really pounding himself back. Oh, control, much more controlled on the pause there. Obviously tried to stop his body weight before going around the corner.
Yeah, he's super passionate as Orrin. He's been passionate about his climbing all weekend, and you can see in his face he's trying hard. He's just needs to piece it together. Let's just hope he can do it before he runs out of time.
With Alexia having topped F4, all eyes in the centre are zoomed in on M4 and Orrin Coley. He's very, very aggressive throwing at this problem. There we go. Oh, so close. Good glance at the clock. He's got 35 seconds left. Probably enough for only one more, considering how much energy he's burning, building the momentum for that swing.
Yeah, come on, Orrin. We've got one more chance, and you were pretty close that time. So one last bash, last problem of the day.
The person you saw brushing the hold there is local boy Matt Catchpole, who actually finished 13th in the semis, the highest placed local, and last year's Dino competition winner, beating out Nathan Phillips and Tom Matthews. Orrin makes the bonus hold, much more controlled. He knows he's out of time though, so this is it. It's top or bust from here. He's having a little rest, making sure he's in proper shape as he goes up this arete.
Yeah, it's good. Some of these young competitors now, they're getting some good coaching and stuff, and you can see that. You know, he's chilling out. He's having a quick think, and he'll push on. And as long as he keeps as steady as Matt, I'm sure he won't have any problems with the top. Just a tricky move around the arete.
Definitely taking his time. He knows that this stage of the game, he'll have heard cheers for other people. He might even have a rough idea in his head of who's got what in relation to what he's got. So he'll be dead keen not to drop this, knowing he's done all that work in the bottom section.
He's looking super chilled. He knows that he can just take a minute, put some chalk on his hands, and just try and punch it out for this last move.
So from this side, the arete is quite good. So here he's actually getting quite a bit of rest in before he makes the move, chunking his weight round the corner out to the small chip. It's worth noting as well, the chip is also at the corner where the wall changes angles. So it's probably not quite as visible as you'd feel comfortable about reaching out to. Oh, wonderful. Using his right hand on the hold and his left hand on the arete. He's pinching himself onto the arete. Body weight's round. He's now getting he's eyeing up the finish. You can see there's a small pocket in the falling hold, but it's not overly friendly. It's quite sloped. There we go. Not a problem for Orrin though. Can he match? Can he match? He can match.
Good lad. That's
big finish. Crowd-pleasing finish as well.
That's a great effort. Last attempt of the day. Just pulled it together as the clock ran out, and that's brilliant to see him top that. I can see a couple of the route setters on the floor looking very happy with themselves, particularly on this men's problem. I think that's come together just as they hoped, and it's given a good finish to the big flash.
Yasmin Roberts out for the ladies, big Dave Barrans out for the men. Now, if Dave Barrans stops this, he'll be the only man who's topped 4 out of 4. If he drops this, it's a bit more open.
I was about to say, come on, big man, but he's not really that big, is he? He's pretty little.
Well, I think he's pretty broad across the shoulders, and he's big in reputation. multi-time British bouldering champion, winner of events all around the UK, has competed in the UK, competed in the World Cup circuit, competed in the World Championships. Again. Dave Barrans using the same approach Orrin did here, of really building momentum to throw into these volumes around the corner. This is the sort of problem that some climbers will say, well, I wouldn't find that outside, but it's challenging in its own right.
Yeah, I think Dave will be the first to say that the style of competition climbing has definitely changed over the years, and he probably wasn't expecting when he first started comp climbing that he would have to be swinging and running for holds halfway across the wall. But it's great, you know. It's holds have developed, and it allows you to do this stuff, and route setters are sort of learning what's possible, sort of every single comp really.
The last major route Dave climbed outside was Desert Island Arete, the Earl Crag, which I should imagine isn't too close to this,
hey,
in what it calls to the body.
Yeah, I reckon Desert Island Arete.
Oh, look at that control.
That's a good effort.
Much more two-stage. Pause on the volumes and then round to the second. I think Dave's fired up. Having already topped 3, he knows that if he tops this, he's almost a dead cert, which he will be. But the others won't necessarily know that. A bit more of a jump for Dave, but no trouble. Look at that power. 4 from 4, big day. Oh, and a one arm for show.
Well done,
He
Dave Barrans.
knows he's got it with that.
Yeah, he'll be happy. There's not much more he can do than that, really.
Yasmin still working away at F4. Completely different style of climb. Again, you can see on the volume there, it's got a slight rail along the top, which helps a little bit, but it's not the most generous rail. So there's still a lot of work keeping the body on the wall as you try and shift around to that first volume on the overhang.
This is great for Yasmin as well. You know, she's really stepped up to come and take on sort of these final problems. They'll probably be pretty different to what she's been used to in the past, and she's coping with it well, really. I mean, it's a really different style, and it's hard being in front of a big crowd like this.
Again, I can't stress how many of the ladies in this competition are in effect juniors, with only Diane being over the age of 20.
Yeah, it's amazing. You know, the women's sort of junior scene is definitely coming on like leaps and bounds, and we're seeing a lot of like the sort of young females like pushing through into the older category now, and doing as well as sort of people that have been comp climbing for 10 years.
That's the joy of these sort of climbing, though, these sort of competitions, because the amount of time the competitors spend in isolation, they do have nothing to do other than chat with these well-travelled veterans, the champions, and the competitors who have been around the circuit a bit and know what to do. So the experience very naturally gets passed on.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think everyone's really friendly as well in isolation, particularly at these types of comps. You know, it's not as serious as a World Cup, and there's not a lot of coaches flying around and everything else. But so it gives an opportunity to just pass on a bit of knowledge and a bit of experience. I'm sure they're sharing a lot in isolation.
So Lizzy Nicholls out for the ladies for the last time on F4, and Matt Cousins out on M4. And you can see this very aggressive motions. Whoa! Completely missing the arete with the grab there. That was maybe a bit too much.
God, I thought Matt was actually going to end up in the crowd then. Even the crowd were concerned.
I can reveal there is some blooper footage already for the highlight reel of Alexia Basch going for the problem earlier and rolling her way into the cameraman, who ended up looking at the roof. There we go. Lizzy established into that upper volume. Now it comes a case of turning slowly round, using the foothold on the wall and getting up towards the bonus hold. So worth noting, Lizzy Nicholls did actually earlier in the year win another competition here at Highball, the Flash Juniors, which aimed at under 16s and under 12s. So all the routes were set to be difficult, but they were difficult so if an adult were to try them, a lot of them were very short, very compressy. So there was an instance of a lot of the regulars coming in to try them and actually find them much trickier than they thought. Because, well, just because it's for a smaller or younger person doesn't necessarily make the route easier.
Yeah, I think it's good that Highball's sort of playing around a little bit with the competition format and finding ways of juniors and it's a good
very
catch by
controlled
Matt.
again.
You know, they're finding ways to allow people to compete that aren't necessarily sort of as good as these guys that are on the wall at the moment.
Matt powering up into the second sort of soft spot we can rest further up. Oh, he's taking a different approach though. He's coming underneath, so almost eliminating the need for pushing the body past the arete, just hanging off that chip, making it look quite comfortable in fact, this top section. Eyeing up big pop for the finish. Pops and holds it. Confidence.
Great stuff by Matt. He was pretty cruisy, to be honest. He's looking on good form at the moment.
Well, obviously 2016 British bouldering champion. Off the back of that, there's maybe more expectation on him to do well.
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely sort of his profile's been upped by that, and I think some of the normal competitors are suddenly seeing him on a more regular basis in finals. So let's hope that keeps going for him.
All eyes turn to Lizzy Nicholls now.
Yes, hard getting out these steep roofs. You know, the footholds aren't great, and you've got some powerful climbing through volumes to get out to sort of the first good hold, really.
Very much a route of two halves. There's a very awkward start initially to get yourself established on the bonus hold with a foot on the volume she's holding in her hands now, and then a much sort of more muscly, burly upper half, pushing the body around with your feet compressed in amongst you.
Yes, hard for Lizzy. She's pretty short as well, so she's having to fight hard to get through this section. But hey,
there we
it's
go.
a good effort.
So close.
Come on, Lizzy, next time.
I suspect that getting a hold on that bonus and being established on it will affect the final standings. So although Alexia Basch has rather run away at the front, 2 and 3 are definitely up for grabs. Crowd watching on intently. Lizzy has a great deal of support with her and locally, as I mentioned earlier. So you can hear the cheers. Obviously after this, only Nathan Phillips and Hannah Slaney to come out. Neither can win it, but there's still plenty of prize and prestige available.
Come on, Lizzy, she's good tactics, sitting on the wall, making sure she has a moment and gets some chalk in her hands.
She knows she's out of time, so this is it. Maximum effort. Nothing else required tonight.
She was close as well last time, so if she can just get recovered well enough, then I think it'll put her into the top section of the problem.
So not only shaking the body out, but focusing the mind, thinking, you know, don't mess this up. Taking a deep breath and trying to get the adrenaline under control. Climbing with the crowd baying at you and under the lights where you can't see where much of the noise is coming from does add up.
Yeah, it's hard, you know, you feel the pressure to keep moving and sort of like keep performing, and everyone's egging you on as well. You can definitely feel all the eyes looking at you, but she's chilling out a bit, and let's hope she can just get enough back. Here we go. Oh, poor Lizzy, it's a good effort.
So, here come the final competitors of the evening. Nathan Phillips for the men, Hannah Slaney for the ladies. Hannah's still smiling broadly.
Yeah, these are two sort of up-and-coming stars, really. So I think we'll probably see a lot of these two in competition climbing over the next few years.
So Nathan Phillips being dethroned at last from his 2 big flash wins by Dave Barrans. Well, I'm sure he'll still want to put in a big performance. So you may have beaten me, but not by much. And of course to not let the others get one over on him.
Yeah, he's been climbing well. He just happens to be amongst a really strong field as well. So he's doing.
Oh, that was wonderful. Probably the
great,
most
nice
controlled move through there that we've seen so far. Nathan was in fact second at this year's British Bouldering Championships behind Matt Cousins. So like you say, he's definitely on form this year. Hannah firmly up through the bonus.
Hannah's looking good.
Established.
Come on, Hannah.
Up onto that rails come volume, easily to the final hold.
Strong
no finish for Hannah.
Really good finish, really good comp for her. Shame didn't quite come together on finals night.
I think she'll still be pleased with her very strong showing in the qualifier and in the semis.
Yeah, I think she shows that over the last couple of days she's definitely going to be a comp climber that's going to come through really well over the next few years. Nathan hanging out, just taking a minute.
So again, he's gone back to the same way that most of the competitors have tried this, but different to how Matt Cousins did it, of being quite high up on the arete, gripping that hold in tight to the chest as you reach out with your foot to the foothold. Now he's shifted to the way Matt does it and gone much lower down.
Come on, Nathan, hold it together.
You can see what the problem point is on this, where you get almost level with the arete and neither hand feels particularly good. There we go, squeezes around the corner. High up the finish, little pop, cheers from the crowd, this is it. Holds it, oh!
Robbed.
He does still have a minute and a half left, so I should imagine he'll sit on the mat for a little while.
Oh, Nathan will be absolutely devastated. He wouldn't expect himself to make a mistake like that. But yeah, as you say, he's got sort of a minute and 15 to get back on. So he'll just have to have a word and take it as experience, I think.
If you're going to give some crowd drama at the end of the day, I think that the one-handed swing and then dropping the final is definitely the way to keep emotions running high.
Yeah, there's definitely a few shocked faces in the crowd. I'm pretty surprised. Come on, Nathan. Let's get it back together.
Asking for that hold to be brushed, doesn't want to make the same mistake twice. He knows that this time will be, again, top or bust.
Even the route setters look a little shocked.
There's a great deal of hands on heads as Nathan dropped that route. Oh, no, oh, 20 seconds remain though, there's still enough for one more go. You think maybe that's, I don't want to say shaken, that'd be doing him a disservice, but maybe annoyed him rather a lot, so now he's having to really calm himself down, get himself under control.
Yeah, his face has definitely dropped a little bit, but he can pull on now, and he knows he can do it, he just needs to keep it together.
For all you high ball locals out there, these routes will be staying up after this event, so you can come down and try your hand, see if maybe you've got it in you to compete with the big boys and girls. Wonderfully controlled there. Like you say, he knows this is it. He knows he can do it.
Come on, Nathan. Let's see it home now. I think the side effect of having all these guys that are so close to each other, sort of in competition at the moment, means that the pressure is definitely on to get tops and get bonus holds. And Nathan's got a smile back on his face, so he's back enjoying himself again.
Playing to the crowd a little bit in the final here. Why not? Listen to that crowd response, firmly behind him on this.
Yeah, he's chilled out. I think that little smile definitely helped relax him and get the crowd going. Come on, Nathan.
He knows what to do here. He's experimented with options and found the one that works for him. Let's get through here, be precise at that final grab, and get the match on. There's quite a lot of, the body swing is quite violent, but very controlled. Here we go. look at that. None of this jumping nonsense for Nathan. Yeah, listen to that cheer.
Yeah, that's great. It's really good that Nathan just pulled that back together again. A little bit of showboating.
I don't think that was a genuine one-armer. I saw some foot in there. But well done. The crowd giving an ovation rightfully. Look at that camaraderie. That would be the acknowledging.
Yeah, top effort by Nathan to get back on and finish that off. That'll be good for him as well.
I suppose if you can't win it, make sure the crowd remember you.
Final, then we'll do the raffle, then we'll do the prize for the new kid. Just stay with us a few minutes, please. Cafe is still open. Refreshment.
We should try and bring you a visual display of the final scores as soon as we can. So keep watching. We still have the awards ceremony to come. We'll be announcing the winners, giving out the prizes. So bear with us for a while. Video will keep rolling, and we'll comment as and when we can on things that are developing. Keep updated on what's happening.
Bring over to Gillingham your female finalist.
So in case the ambient feed isn't very clear for you at home, what we have there is obviously all 6 competitors in the ladies' final. All relaxing, chilling out, and still all smiles. As you can see, Alexia Basch, runaway winner in gold, Hannah Slaney second, Diane Jeffery in third. Wonderful appreciation from the crowd for these fine competitors. Everyone here knows they've had a good show tonight, and indeed all this weekend, with the effectively 4 viewable competitions they've run.
Barrans, and Nathan Phillips. Ladies and gentlemen, the male finalists.
So this time it's the male finalists there. Again, Dave Barrans, runaway winner, Nathan Phillips second, dethroned from being previously the only male high ball Big Flash winner, and Matt Cousins, the British bowling champion, in third.
Okay, one more